guys, this is Lelo. Welcome to my channel. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for the love that you've shown and the support and the demand. Oh my gosh, if only you guys knew how much hard work it is to create content. I did not know what I signed up for, but yeah, anyway, I'm so grateful for you guys and the response. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so much questions and comments on my social media platforms, and people have literally been engaging and asking questions, and I'm so glad that the message that I'm putting out there and sharing my life is actually helping somebody out there. You know, there's actually people who have come to me, people who have rocked up at my house. I know it sounds scary, but yeah, I'm just grateful that God is using me as a tool and to help you guys through the process, especially when it comes to divorce and living your life after divorce, navigating and dealing. So today I'm supposed to do the part 2 of dating and love after divorce, and I just decided to address questions because I got a lot of questions, and so that's how I am going to address the part 2 of this topic that we're talking about. And yeah, there's so many other things that we still need to talk about, so yeah, I just want to get through this topic, and then we can get on with it. So yeah, here goes. The first question that I got, okay, there were so many questions, and some of them I had to structure them because some of them are repetitive, and so in no particular order really. So the first question was directed at me, and it said, did you go through intense dating before finding the one? So on my last video, I spoke about how I am now in a relationship and I've managed to find my soulmate, or he found me, as I'd like to put it. But it did not happen overnight, and if you haven't watched the first video, the part 1, please go and watch it so that everything will make sense. So yes, so after I officially announced, or I officially got divorced, I gave myself time. So I mentioned this before as well, that when a person or when you find out, or when a person announces that me and this person are longer together, by that time the relationship is long over. So that's what a lot of people don't understand, and when they see you living your life, they feel like, oh, but it's too soon. Now she was married, now she's divorced, now she's in a new relationship. But it's not like that at all, because you can be in a marriage and you can be in a relationship but not be together. You know, that happens a lot, and people separate, people get divorced, and they do it and they don't have to announce it until they're ready. I also said this to one lady I was speaking to, that by the time people find out, or by the time you start talking about it, you're in a certain level of healing, because the healing is ongoing. It never stops. So by the time you start talking about it, you yourself have dealt with it. So, and it's very important, because you need to deal with it first, and before people start knowing. It's the hardest thing is to go through a divorce publicly, because you have to go through these stages, and going through them in front of people just makes it even more hard. So by the time that people find out that you and this person are no longer together, it's actually been a long time. And I found myself actually comforting other people, because they had a hard time accepting that I was no longer married. And by that time, I was no longer married for like a year and a half, you know. So I personally gave myself time before I opened myself up for a relationship, for dating, because I knew that I was broken. I knew that there was a lot of things that I still needed to deal with personally before I opened myself up for a relationship, because that's another thing. It's not going to be fair to the other person if you're going to be with a person, and then because there are expectations in a relationship, and I think after going through a separation, a breakup, or a divorce, you feel like you cannot give anything, you cannot give, love. So there's no way that the other person will feel the love that they deserve, actually. So it's not really fair. So that's why I feel like for me and for the other person, it's actually fair that I gave myself a lot of time. I spent time with myself, I dated myself, I rediscovered myself, and because a relationship, when you're in a long-term relationship, you actually lose yourself, which is a really bad thing. You lose yourself. So by the time you walk out, you don't even know where to start. You don't know who you are anymore. So I spent a lot of time rediscovering myself, loving myself, going out and traveling and, experimenting, exploring things before I actually opened myself up for love or for dating. So yes, to answer the question, it wasn't intense dating. I went on a few dates, and yeah, it was very interesting. There are just a few of those that I want to talk about without mentioning names, of course, because I think it will help other people that are going through the same experience. So at some point I dated a guy who was well off, so I'm saying this because on my last video I did mention that when you go through a breakup and now you're thinking of the future, you think that you must do everything that you didn't do in this relationship, and you start creating this image of a person that you want, that you think will match who you are now. So that's exactly what I did, which was wrong. I'll explain later why I say it was wrong. So I had my own expectations, and I designed this guy, and I was like, okay, he needs to have a certain income bracket, he needs to have properties, he needs to have this, he needs to have that, because I have also established myself, and I didn't want now to start with a person who's just starting out, because I felt like I'm somewhere and he needs to match where I am. So yeah, and another thing about being available is that a lot of people approach you because they feel like now they stand a chance with you. It's like they've been waiting, So once you announce or you go public, it's like now a lot of people will be like, oh, okay, let's do this. So I was with a guy who was well off, who had money, had the cars, had the the things that I thought is what I needed, and I thought, yeah, this is exactly what I need, But what I failed to look at was the individual, the person himself, because he ticked the right boxes, but him as a person, his spirit, and it did not go with what I wanted. So outside, when you looked at the relationship from the outside, it looked perfect, but inwardly, and the conversations that we were having, and there were no conversations, actually there was nothing there, because I just felt that I was too deep for him. I think I've always felt like that in my life, whether it comes to friendships or relationships, even the person I was married to. I just felt that I'm too deep, I'm too spiritual, and I felt that most people don't get me. They feel like I spiritualize everything, and but that's just the kind of person that I am. So I found myself having to settle when it comes to that, and it didn't make sense to a lot of people, my friends, some of my family members, because they felt like I don't know what I want, because this guy is exactly what I need, but me now, on the other hand, I'm like, like I'm not happy, and I think it's very important for you to listen to that, because I told myself I can't afford to make the same mistake again. I can't afford to be stuck with the person that I know that it's not gonna bring anything out of it, So he was a good guy, and he took care of me, but I found myself being in a position again where I was just a possession to him, I was one of her properties or one of his cars, or because men who are like that, I'm not saying all of them, don't come for me, but men who are well off, they have a certain need to control, and I am not like that. I'm not the type of person to sit and wait to be told what to do. I want to contribute, and I mean, I appreciate the fact that of being taken care of. I appreciate that, but the kind of person that I am, I'm a builder, so I want us to build something together, and I want us to work towards something. So the fact that you can just like do things, you know, I could actually imagine having a future or being with a person like that. And he used to tell me, Guti, yeah, he doesn't need his wife's permission or his wife's input to close a deal or to buy a car or to buy a house, and that's not how I imagined my life to be. Yes, it looked very comfortable and it looked nice, but I think in the long run I was going to be very unhappy, and I was going to be bored because he did not stimulate me like mentally. We did not have those conversations mentally. So I felt like as nice as it looks, you know, but it wasn't going to do me any good. And that's another thing that I actually realized about dating at this age, especially after having gone through a divorce, is that you don't have much time to waste. So I actually literally thought, you know, this is nice. I mean, we can do it for the next 5 years, but then what happens when I'm now 40 and I'm still here and, like, you know, there's nothing coming out of it, and this guy just sees me as someone that he can show off to his friends, like I'm just a trophy to him, you know. I'm not contributing anything to his life, and for me that makes me so unhappy, because the kind of person that I am, I want to add value to your life. So for me that was a no-no, and it was a very hard decision to walk away from that. And I'm so glad that I did, because I felt that I needed to give myself a fair chance, you know. And I always believe that if something is meant to be, it will be, you know. If he's meant to be my soulmate, or if he is my soulmate, then we will find each other again. So I walked away from that. That was guy number one. And guy number two also looked good on paper. We look good together, I don't want to lie. Dresses well, smells good, you know, ticks the boxes, but oh my gosh, he brought out the toxic in me. I always believe that we all have this bad side, we all have this toxic side of us, and that's exactly what I went through in my marriage, where we were just bad for each other. We were not bringing out the good in each other anymore. It was just toxic, toxic, toxic. So that guy took me back there, and it became very, very ugly, where we were fighting all the time. But he was not a kind person. And that's when I realized that actually I want a man who is kind. I want a man who will look after my heart. And as hard as it was as well for that relationship, okay, that one wasn't hard because it was very toxic. I was tired. I was really tired, and it wasn't that long. We were not together for long, but it was just I knew. I think I knew from the beginning that this, I think you know, I mean, if you true to yourself, you know when you're with the person that this is not it. There has to be more, you know. And I knew, and that as well I had to walk away from. So I'm giving these examples so that you know when you come across, because sometimes, you know, we like painting a picture, and because now people see that I'm happy and, you know, I'm fulfilled in the relationship that I'm in, and they feel like it just happened overnight. You just moved from the divorce, and then you found this guy, and it did not happen like that at all. And through all of these relationships, if I can call them that I was in, I learned so much about myself. And that's why I don't regret a thing, because I think I had to go through them for me to know and to realize which parts of me still needed healing, because that's what relationship does to you. it triggers. There are so many triggers, and that's when you realize here and there, I still need to work on this. I still need to learn to trust again. I still need to do this and that. And the next person that I was with after that, I think that one made me realize that my worth, because it was also nice. We dated, and he was a nice guy, but as soon as people found out about our relationship, then he got scared. And as soon as his family found out, because his family found out that I'm divorced and I've got 3 kids. He's never been married. He's got a child, but he's never been married. So I think they felt that he deserves better, So I think that's when I realized my worth, because I needed him to stand up for me, to stand up for us, and be like, but this is who I've chosen, whether she's been married or she has kids. I mean, there's nothing I can do to change what I've been through. There's nothing that I can do to change my past. This is me. This is what I come with. So if you can't accept me for what I am, then there's really no future. And that was so hard, because I gave so much into that relationship, and he was just not sure. Because then the conversation that we would have, like, okay, so what are you going to do? What are we going to do? And he was like, he wasn't sure. And for me, you can't plan a life. You can't be with a person who's not sure about himself, who's not sure about being in a relationship with you. And I just felt he can't handle what I come with, because at the end of the day, I am a mom, and I have been married before, and you need to accept that I don't have to feel bad for that, and that is very important, because when you are divorced and you get into a new relationship, you are meant, most of the time, it's like, I'm doing you a favor by just asking you out on a date, so you end up feeling like that. You end up settling and feeling like, he likes me even with all of the things that I come with. But a person who is meant for you is supposed to love you anyway. He's supposed to love that about you. He's supposed to love you with your scars, with everything that you come with. So yeah, I was just answering the first question, that did I go through intense dating? So I don't think it was intense, but I just pointed out those experiences just to make you understand how I knew when the right one came. So yeah, I think I'll stop that one there. The second question is it realistic to have a list of what you're looking for in a partner? So to answer this one, it's good to know what you want and what you don't want. But what is not realistic is to design your own person, which is something that I've also pointed out that I did. To design this guy that does not even exist, that he needs to be light in complexion, he needs to be tall, he needs to drive this car, because where are you going to find that guy? He does not exist. So it's realistic to know what you want, because then you will recognize it when it comes. But to design your own person is very dangerous. And also, what I want to share is that all these experiences, they helped me, or I got a revelation that actually my own understanding is very limited. So because I know what I want now at this point in time, because of the person that I am now, but I don't know where I'll be 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So the danger in that is making a decision based on that limitation. The word of God in Proverbs says that we need to lean not in our own understanding. So we need to trust God in everything that we do with all our hearts. So I think that's when I got the conviction that actually God knows exactly what kind of person I need for the chapter that I'm starting now. So for me to trust him with that was the best decision, because he knows where he's taking us together, because he knows both our destinies. So yeah, that's how I can answer that question. Okay, the next one I kind of answered already. It says, is it wrong to want to be with a rich guy? I mean, different strokes for different folks. I think if you know what you want, then there's nothing wrong with it. But being carnal about it is what's going to give you problems, because money comes and goes, right? The most important thing is how a person is inside. And God uses our spirits to connect, right? So for you to identify your soulmate, the spirits will know each other. That's why when you're with a person, you feel like, but it feels like I've known you all my life. It's because the spirits have been there, you understand? So that's why when I got this revelation, I was so amazed that, I've been looking at the least important things. And that's why God doesn't use the looks or the money or the possessions, the material things to attract us to each other. He uses the soul or the spirit or the heart, because that is eternal. All these things, they fade, they come and go. So whether you should want that for yourself, I think God knows what we need more than us. And you can, I'm not saying that you must now look for the least, or a guy who's down and out, whatever. God will know what to bring to you. But also we need to also be careful of con artists, because there are guys who are out there looking at you and seeing that you're doing well, you've got this for yourself, and they just want to come and con you out of that. That is also there. And that's when you need discernment. You need the Holy Spirit to help you to identify, because if he's here for the wrong reasons, then you need to be able to see that. You need to be able to identify that. Yeah. And then the next question is, how did you know that he was the one? I kind of addressed this as well in the first video, but I'll go into more detail. So this guy, I've known him for a long time. I've known him since 2010, but we've known each other, but I never ever in my wildest dreams imagined that I was going to be with him. I was married, he was married. We went through life happened, and we went through exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. And I remember, because of the break that I decided, because there was a time where after I had been with all these guys, I told myself, I'm going to give myself a break, and God, I want you to show me the right person. And I remember having a conversation with my mentor, and I asked her, but how will I know? Because I had been on so many dates, well, not so many, but I had been talking to so many people, but I just felt I'll never get what I want. And she told me, you will discern. And as much as at that time it didn't make sense, but I prayed and I said, I'm going to give myself a break, and I'm going to stop dating, and I'm going to stop talking to these people. And the first thing that I noticed about him was that he did not flirt. So it's the norm that when a person likes you, or when you like each other, you flirt, and then it leads to this and that, and then you realize you like each other. But that's one thing that I will never forget about this person, is that he did not flirt with me, and he saw me for me. And I always get emotional when I speak about this, because in my marriage or in the past relationships that I've had, I felt like I was not seen. And yes, people will see you outwardly, and they will compliment you, how beautiful you are, how nicely dressed you are, things like that. But nobody actually sees who you are inside. And I longed for that. And that was my prayer to God, that someone needs to see who I am, because I'm not just a trophy, or I'm not just my looks, but there's actually something inside of me. I am more than that. And that's exactly what he saw. He saw me for me, and I saw God in him. And I think we started talking, and then at some point I had told him that I'm not ready for a relationship, another relationship, so I need time. So, and I told him, you know, I just need time because I don't want to get into another one. And he was very patient. He was like, take all the time you need. And I did exactly that. I think I took about a month, and I completely forgot about him. And one day we just started to speak again, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for that date that you asked me. And we had a date, and we just spoke and spoke, and we never stopped. And I think that was the most, I don't know, the most meaningful conversation that I've ever had with anyone. And I never thought, in the 10 years that I knew him before that, I never thought that I would actually connect so much with a person. And I knew right there that there was something here. And I mean, after that, when we decided to, you know, have a relationship, there were moments where there was confirmation that, oh my gosh, this, you know, because he understood my love language without even me telling him, you know. And I remember there was a time where I had to even ask him, do you know the 5 love languages? And he had no idea what I was talking about. I had to share the book with him, because I felt like Ngati, this guy studied me or something, because everything he was just doing, all the things that I've been praying for and things that I've been longing for. And I remember there was a time where that's when he like completely like won me, when he actually, okay, when we started talking, I'm very protective over my children, and I make it a point to everyone that no one, I'll never expose my children to anyone. And I remember he asked me many times, when can I meet your kids? And I was like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready. And so, but we would speak. I think that's another thing that I loved about the relationship, that the friendship that we had, that I was free to talk about anything. I was free to talk about my hurts, my brokenness, my children, my struggles and my frustrations. And I had frustrations with my daughter, Malaika, because, you know, teenagers, and yeah, issues. So we clashed a lot. And when I spoke to him about it, and the fact that she has a strained relationship with her father, and I wanted that so much for her. I wanted her to have a relationship with her dad, because I had daddy issues growing up, but because my dad passed away when I was young, and I picked that up from her. And I encouraged her to have a relationship with her dad, and I could feel that it's not happening, and it's causing very strain to her life. And I remember there was a time when it was Valentine's Day, and okay, before that, then he actually said to me, do you want me to do something? Do you want me to speak to her? Because he actually identified that the things that she's struggling with, only a man can have those conversations with her. And she actually told me, and she was like, why don't you encourage her to speak to her father? And which is something that I did before, but it did not work. And the fact that he actually recognized that and he offered to help, you know, that meant so much to me. And then on Valentine's Day, Malaka's gonna kill me about speaking about this, but yeah, I have to. On Valentine's Day, it was like all her friends had dates or Valentine's or whatever, and then she was like, I don't want to have a date just for the sake of receiving a gift, but I also I want to receive something, you know. And I cried, because I felt like that's where a father should step in, you know, as a father figure in her life. And that's not the relationship that she has with her father. And I did not even had to say it in words, you know. I just spoke to him, the guy that I'm with, and I told him that, you know, I'm so worried because I don't want Malaika to have to date a guy for validation, you know. And we spoke about it, and, you know, he encouraged me. And then on Valentine's Day, he actually bought something for Malaika, and he asked Malaika to be a Valentine. And for me, it can be, I mean, something so simple that any man can do, but for me it meant so much, because it meant that he could recognize, you know, that need, that was there, you know, in my life. And yeah, it addressed so many things. So there's been so many confirmations, and it just feels right, you know. So there's things that I don't even have to ask for, you know, things that I've prayed for and things that I see happening in the relationship. So yeah, that's how I knew that he's the one. Okay, this next question is one that I get so much. And it's actually funny. It says, you guys look so happy, do you ever fight? So this is referring to me and the man that I'm with now. Of course, I don't think it's possible to be with a person and always agree on things. But the difference is that it's not toxic, and we have rules of engagement. So it's something that we spoke about, because both of us, we come from toxic relationships, and peace was our first priority, and we always speak about that. We always seek peace in everything we do. So we actually spoke about that. When we do disagree on certain things, we don't fight below the belt. So it's nothing personal, or nothing to hurt the other person. And also is that it's better to lose an argument than to lose the relationship. So sometimes someone needs to calm down, you know. So it's very, I mean, obviously people fight, but it's nothing toxic. So yeah. And then the last question that I also get a lot is that, can I ever feel happiness again and love after going through a divorce? Of course you can, but the most important thing is that the happiness, it's from the inside. It needs to come from you. So you cannot expect to for another person to come and fill a void or come and make you happy. That's why after the breakup, you need to give time to yourself, you know, to rediscover yourself and to love yourself again, you know. So at the end of the day, happiness is an inside job. So when you find yourself in a relationship, you're in a space to make each other happy, you know, but the joy needs to come from the inside. Yeah, so those are the questions, and yeah, I think I've said a mouthful. Thank you so much, guys, for the questions. Thank you so much for engaging, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this video. And yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you so much.